So you want to call out a narcissist. You want to call them out to say, hey, bucko, you're the narcissist here. Shut it frickin' down. Yeah, not a wise move. Seriously. In fact, doing something like that can cause you more harm than good. Because the moment the narcissist sees that they have no more control over you, when they see that you see through their facade, well, they've got nothing left to lose. Seriously, they are fully aware of who they are. They don't need you calling them out. They know that their behavior is neither attractive or socially acceptable. And exposing them is the ultimate faux pas. Why? Because once you call the narcissist out, they can't undo your perspective of them. It's not like they can do anything and try to be kind and nice and try to get you to reconsider, oh, you were wrong about me. No, narcissists can't change. And they won't prove you wrong when you call them out because they can't. They'll just unknowingly confirm what you have said about them. Because calling them out on who they are, it's an automatic display. It forces them to go into this automatic display of becoming defensive and offended. And eventually that offense spirals into anger because they can't keep up appearances for too long. And once you demask the narcissist by saying, hey, bucko, hey, buddy, you're the narcissist here. Smarten the frick up. No, you can't. It's not like splashing cold water on somebody to shock them out of their misery. No, you can't do that with a narcissist. It's because they have this inflated self-defense that says that they are superior than everybody else. And that superiority cannot have flaws. And when you call the narcissist out saying, hey, you're the narcissist, that's an ultimate flaw that cannot be corrected. It's not like saying, oopsie, I made a mistake. No. Narcissists know full well who they are. They don't need you telling them. And you telling them is not going to suddenly make them go, oh, I'm shocked that you know. Okay, I'll try better. I'll do better. No, they're going to turn this all on you. They'll go the full Darvo effect on you. They will claim victimhood. They will make you the villain. And they will never take accountability for their mistakes because their false sense of self does not allow them to be vulnerable, because this sense of self-superiority won't allow them to have mistakes, because mistakes mean flaws, and flaws mean, well, you're bad. And that's the core issue, my dear Watson. Narcissistic personality disorder is irreparable, leaving the narcissist trapped in a cycle of denial and rage with no path of redemption. If you haven't done so already, please watch the video I did on rage aggression. It's very interesting. Because the narcissist is always ready to frickin' pop. Seriously. They are ready to pop. Just at any mention that they may have a flaw, they turn to offense. That they don't have to go very far in their emotions, because their emotions are right here at the surface. So they don't have to take very long to muddle or consider or, think about things. It's as soon as they hear that, okay, they've done something wrong because they're the problem. No, I'm not. They're gonna rage at you. So, excuse me, if you call out the narcissist, I mean, it's your choice if that's what you want to do, but I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. Seriously, you will learn to regret it. Do not call them out if you can help it. I know you want to. I know, especially when, and I've been in that position where, I started researching about narcissism and psychopathy, and I'm just like, I see it. Oh, by golly, I see it. And, it's like I could pinpoint. He's gaslighting me. He's lying to me. He's manipulating me. He freaking thinks I'm stupid, doesn't he? And my dander would be climbing and climbing, and I'd be ready to pop. And I'd be like ready to just say, buddy, you're the freaking narcissist here. Simmer down. Of course, I'd use more colorful words than that, but you get the point. And, I'm glad I didn't. Even when the narcissist asked me, do you think I'm a narcissist? And I was just like, oh, no, you wouldn't be helping me out if you were a narcissist. I'd have to manipulate the manipulator because I knew it was in my best interest not to let on that I knew who they were. And, it's easy to want to call them out, especially when you've been researching and you can see like clockwork. It's like they're just bang, 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 banging off the behavioral disorder conflicts left, right, and center. And you can see it and your head's on a swivel because you're just like, you can see it. And so it kind of feels validating to call them out. But I'm telling you, if you do, it's going to be worse for you because the narcissist will have nothing to lose. If you decide to call them out, you're taking a risk. And yeah, with your own life, with your own emotional well-being, with your own mental health. They will exact revenge on you, and that revenge, they can lengthen that revenge long term, and they can sit on it and simmer. You know how they say revenge is a dish best served cold? Yeah, that's the narcissist. They'll let time slip by so you won't even know, you won't even remember what happened. That revenge, that anger, that whatever retribution seemingly comes out of left field, and you've got that water splashed on your face going, what the hell just happened? You won't know. You won't remember. And they'll have their revenge for you calling them out, and they'll be like, so they'll be reveling in that. And I'm just going to say this, save yourself a world of hurt, because keeping that kind of information close to your chest is in your best interest. You do not need to affirm that what you already know. The narcissist is abusive. You've endured it. You've got all the proof that you need. You've endured the mind games. You've endured the manipulation, the triangulation, the rages, the abuse, the mental, the physical abuse, the isolation, the alienation. You've endured the gaslighting, the hoover, the love bombing, the trauma bond, the cognitive dissonance. You've endured it all. You've got enough ammunition because of your experience of narcissism. You don't need to call them out in order to feel validated. The emotional crap, the hellhole that you endured, well, that's more than enough. So your best move is now just to play it cool. Stay silent, play dumb. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in scripture, David, what did he do? He played crazy. He pretended he was crazy to avoid being taken by the enemy. So, I mean, you gotta there is a saying that if you play poker, if you play the game of poker with a cheater, don't expect to win by being truthful, by playing the game straight. You want to win, you're going to have to cheat the cheater. And that's what we do with narcissism. We play their game, and sometimes you just got to play dumb. Hi everyone, it's nice to see you. With that said, there are ways to call out a narcissist without confronting them directly. And they're never going to know. They're never going to know that you know, and that's the best revenge. That they don't even know that you know that they know that they are a narcissist. It's an awesome thing to finally turn the tables around and step into your power, because knowledge is power, and you can use that knowledge that you've gained against them without them even realizing that they know that you know that they know they are a narcissist. So knowledge is powerful. It's a powerful tool. So please use it wisely. Do not use it to hurt people. Use it to defend yourself. Use it to educate yourself and educate people. Good day, my friends. How are you? My name is Shannon Gilmore, and welcome to It's Positively Spiritual. This is your internet healing hub where we expose the narcissist. We expose narcissism through the lens of spiritual application with a non-denominational approach, also using psychological aspects, the practicums, the modalities, but we also expose narcissism as we expose ourselves through a scientific approach of quantum science. So we take a look at the conventional and controversial here as we look at the psychological patterns of human nature and expose them with the knowledge of science and God's word. We're not just here poking at the narcissism in this world. We look at the narcissism within us and the problem behavior that we have acquired in our trauma and our abuse. So I'm just here to tell you that I do not claim to be right. I don't want to be right. I'm willing to be challenged. I love the challenge, so bring it. Serious. You're not going to hear any backlash from me. I welcome your comments, questions, and suggestions. And if you got something new that challenges me or challenges others, bring it. Just be respectful, as we're all friends and family here on this channel. Now, I only claim the truth of my experience, and I've had quite a bit of experience with narcissism and helping other people in their behavioral dysfunctions and their own traumas over the years, because I've been a peer support mentor since I was 16 years old. So I'm also a writer. If you want to check out my writing and my expertise, please feel free to find me on ko-fi.com/Shannon Lynn. A link will be posted in the description and in the comment section of this video. So all I'm asking is that you take what resonates with this video, toss the rest, save these videos for future reference, and promise yourself that you will never stop learning, never stop growing. That's it. So again, knowledge is power, my friends, and you can use that power to protect yourself. Now that you have a decision to make, because now that you know that you are dealing with a narcissist, do you stay or do you go? Well, leaving an abusive relationship immediately, emotionally, is not easy, but even physically, it may take you months or years to ready yourself to release yourself from that relationship. And so the best that you can do for yourself while you wait for the door of opportunity to arrive, you can learn to heal yourself in that relationship. Now, if you are preparing to leave, some of us make hasty choices. So I encourage you that if you are determined to leave, and if you can leave, what steps are you going to take? How are you going to ensure your safety? Like, this is something that often we don't consider. We just, no, I'm leaving. The guy's an a-hole, or the girl's, wow, she's crazy, and sometimes you have to leave for your own safety. I get that. But just please think it through. If your safety is in jeopardy, then have a police escort to come get your things, or have a witness start recording things. But here in Canada, I don't know what it's like in the United States and elsewhere, but here in Canada, if you record somebody with your phone or any recording device, you have to, by law, let them know. If you do not let the person know that they are being recorded, it is illegal. You could get sued if they found out that you recorded them. And because you did not alert the other person that you were recording them, what they said and did to you or to anybody on that video cannot be used in a court of law. So it's an inadmissible evidence. So just be aware of that. So if you do record your encounters with the narcissist, just say, I'm recording this for my safety and yours. So that's it. And they have to agree, So if they tell you turn off the camera, you have to turn it off. So, but what happens if you decide to stay? Well, that's something that you have to prepare yourself for, because sometimes leaving isn't always the best thing to do, because you're financially unable to leave, or you may have children with this person. So if you leave, that means a separation and a divorce, and maybe you just are not financially, emotionally, physically capable of taking on that challenge right now. So when my best advice to you right now is, if you are just discovering, or you have discovered that you are in a narcissistic relationship and you can't leave, just do what you can to keep yourself safe. And I'm going to help you in this video discover a little ways, some ways, subtle ways that you can learn to keep yourself safe. I mean, I personally was stuck in a relationship for a good 5 years before I was able to get out. And in that 5 years, I made the most of my time. I educated myself on narcissism, and I took a look at my hidden trauma from childhood, and I wrote a book. I made notes. I learned. I cried. I mourned and grieved the loss of the marriage that I thought I had, that I never did have. And I began to embrace myself. And I have some wonderful books on how you can embrace yourself, and e-coaching courses on how you can get in touch with yourself, become acquainted, and become your own best friend, because that's what we lose when we're in narcissistic relationships. We lose the faith in ourselves and the ability to ask ourselves questions and become self-reliant. We lose the ability to think of ourselves as our best friend, as we begin to turn our face away from ourselves and point in the direction of the narcissist. So while you plan your next move, invest time in understanding narcissism. That's your best move right there. Understand narcissism on a deeper level, from a psychological level to a spiritual level. And what I did is I traced the patterns of narcissism in my current relationship at the time. I traced what my ex-husband was mirroring, who he was mirroring of my past, because I could trace the narcissism back to my past, to childhood trauma. So I asked myself questions. Who is he mirroring? Who is he mirroring? Who does he remind me of my past? And it was both my mom and my dad. And so you can trace the patterns of manipulation and your trauma bonding in your relationship you can trace them back to your own symptoms of abuse and look at how their abuse has shaped you and your responses. Normally, you know, not everybody, we learn this as we age. So if you're younger, you know, your responses in life are going to be met with, you know, driven by your feelings. That's just the way it is. And this is something that I learned, that I was feeling driven, emotionally driven in my decisions when I was with the narcissist. And I've been with narcissists my whole life. I've learned how to step myself aside and just allow the narcissist to take control. And so I could actually trace the patterns of the abuse within my marriage and see how that continued from my foster family and my upbringing, how I looked at my husband not as my equal, but I looked at him as a person who was above me. And if he was anybody who you consider above you, has the ability to control you because that's what you believe. You believe that you're not worthy of, you know, like, it's not even that you think that you're not worthy. I mean, I certainly didn't. I didn't say, oh, I'm not worthy to control myself. I'm not worthy of my own brain in my head. No, I really liked about myself that I was intelligent. I really thrived on learning and growing. But this was a conditioning pattern. And I think instead of saying, you know, psychologists like to say that we believe that we're not worthy. And yes, that's a part of it. But I think the most appealing answer for me that works is that we've been conditioned and groomed to act and conduct ourselves a certain way because we know no different. So if you don't know any different, how can you say you're unworthy? Because to feel unworthy, you have to know what it feels like to be worthy. And so when you're always in a position of being unworthy, you don't know your capabilities. You don't know that, hey, I am worthy. What the hell are you talking about? I'm just as good as you, even better. Not that you laud your grace over the narcissist, but God does say that we are not supposed to think of ourselves more highly than we ought. So we are allowed to think of ourselves highly. We are allowed to have a high regard of ourselves. And I think the appropriate idea about this is that we don't think that we're not necessarily unworthy. It's that we've been conditioned to take on these unworthy roles. And when you're always in this unworthy role of being lesser and less than, and you don't think that you can achieve any better because you've never tried. And this is where stepping out in courage and confidence, we talked about that in last week's videos. To be courageous and step out in confidence is to believe in yourself and know that you can, even though you haven't tried it. And it doesn't matter if you fall down on your face. It's like someone who is escaping, you know, like, okay, I like to use the analogy of the bird in a cage. Okay, you can have a bird that is bred into captivity, and you can have a bird that is caught from the wild and placed in captivity, and you can have these two birds in the same cage. The bird that doesn't know it's in captivity won't try to escape. But the bird that was wild, it will try to escape. It will find every way. And it may give up trying to find a way, but it will get smart that it will try to escape every time that cage door is open for the handler to feed and clean that cage. That wild bird will find his escape. And it will bite and it will claw eventually just to escape. Because if it doesn't escape, it will die. And it knows this. And so with the bird that's bred into captivity, the handler can leave that cage door open, and that bird will not try to get out. It will not try to escape. It's friends with its handler because it's all it's being fed. It doesn't know how to survive on its own. It doesn't think that, oh, I have the ability to go forage for my own food if ever I escaped. No, they're like, what's escape? Like that word and that concept is so foreign to them. They don't know it. So you don't know what you don't know, right? So just know this, that many of us are like the docile bird who is bred into captivity. Many of us, myself included, I was born into trauma. I was probably conceived in trauma. I don't know. I mean, the stuff that I've heard about my dad, I'm glad I don't know him. It took me a long time to really get over that his genes were in me, that he was a angry, vengeful man who is a misogynist. I was just like, what? That is so far beyond me. It's not even funny, but, being bred into captivity in a trauma-bound home, that's all you know. So you don't understand that you're not unworthy. Like, you don't believe that you are unworthy. You just take on that unworthy role because that's what you've lived for so long. And someone comes along and says you're worthy, and you're like, I'm worthy? What does that mean? That's foreign. No, I'm unworthy. You're telling me I'm worthy, but I don't know that concept, so that must mean that I am unworthy, and that's what I believe because that's what I've lived for so long. I don't know any different. It's not like you believe that you are unworthy. It's just you've taken on that concept and embodied it because that's what you lived. Is this making sense? And this is what you can learn about yourself even though you're in a narcissistic relationship. While you wait for the doors of opportunity for you to get the heck out of Dodge, you can explore your inside of you and let that relationship with you grow. So while you plan for your escape, while you're waiting, you can understand narcissism on a deeper level that you've never known before. You can trace that narcissism and all that trauma back to, you and your behavioral patterns, your reactions, your emotional reactions in life. You can even trace all that back to going back to your past, your childhood. And you can learn to heal where the narcissist, in the relationship where the narcissist has tried to break you. But I encourage you to keep all this understanding, keep this knowledge to yourself. Don't let the narcissist, and don't let your circle of friends who share friendships with the narcissist, don't let them know that you're growing. Don't let them know that you're healing. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. Welcome. Joe says, God says to put him first, others second, and yourself last. What's your take on that? Well, we and God are one. So when you love, okay, the 2 commandments, Joe, are love the Lord your God, your Father, with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. So if you put God first, you're putting others first, and you're putting yourself first. If you put yourself first, when you love God, you're putting yourself first as you're putting God first, as you're putting your neighbor first. Because you're all one. You're one with God in here in your heart. When you follow Jesus in repentance, when you adopt the loving, unconditional love lifestyle to yourself, this is how you can love God, by loving yourself. And how you love yourself is, God says that he loves you with an everlasting love. And sometimes his love, yes, it is yes and amen. But sometimes it's no. loving yourself is to know your limitations in the way of your moral compass. Your moral compass tells you no, and that's the most loving thing, is when your moral compass inside of you, your spirit says, no, just because so-and-so is jumping off the cliff and they know how to swim doesn't mean that's a good idea for you to do. No, keep yourself safe and go swim in the shallows. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't need to, test the limits of your boundaries and jump off that cliff. No, if you really want to jump from a height, go into a swimming pool and jump off the high diving board where there are lifeguards and where you can learn and jump off from a height safely. So Joe says, so you're saying in a spiritual way, not in a material way. Yeah, because you can't love physically without loving in the spirit. Because like Paul says in scripture, works without love is meaningless. So you have to really understand what kind of love you're adhering to. I mean, there's unconditional love and there's conditional love. And, unconditional love doesn't allow us to be somebody's doormat or take second seat in the way of being manipulated. Love always trusts, yes, but love also forgives, but does not say, okay, let me extend myself to you so you can manipulate me and hurt me again. That's going against your moral compass. Your morality is the barrier, those healthy boundaries that you have in place that says, I love myself just as much as I love you. And if I wouldn't allow myself to go through that, why am I going to permit or allow you to go through that? If I say no to myself, but my partner is saying, oh, come on, let me do that, come on. And you're saying, no, I wouldn't do it for myself. So no, I've got your back. And they're like, but isn't it for me to decide? Well, yeah, it is for you to decide. But it's not for you to decide that I should go over my moral compass in order to satisfy you. Is that making sense? Okay, I use this example a lot where I have an apple. Okay, because many people, the churches are, coercing all of us to tithe to the church and to give to the church. Well, I've read and I've seen people give their hard-earned dollars, their last paycheck, their mortgage payment to the church. And the church won't pay it back. And so these people are losing their homes, they're losing their vehicles, they're losing their livelihood because they're giving to the church, because the churches are bullying and coercing people to give their hard-earned money. And God himself, Jesus himself says, give if you are able. Now, giving, the church says, well, give. So even if you suffer, give so that somebody else doesn't suffer. That's not love. That's not unconditional love. I'm sorry. That is not love. That is not loving according to the 2 commandments that Jesus says. If I have an apple and I see you that you don't have an apple and you're hungry, I'm hungry too. Maybe you haven't eaten in 3 days, but I haven't eaten in 1 day, but that doesn't matter. Our stomach is still empty. It may appear because you've gone without food longer that you need the food more than I do, but maybe I have a hidden medical condition where I'm deficient in some mineral that this apple will give me. And you can better withstand going without food better than I can. Maybe you can last a week without food. Maybe I can only last a day or 2. Nobody knows, right? So the most loving thing to do is, if I have an apple and I see you and you're like, can you, spare some of that apple? I'd be like breaking it in half and giving both of us equal portions. That's love. This is what Jesus did. Jesus gathered up all the leftover food that the disciples had, 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread that fed 5,000, and people were able to eat. People took what they needed and they ate, and there was leftover. Jesus didn't say, okay, well, let's just give the children more and the adults less, and oh, we got to feed those horses over there too. Gosh, there's not going to be enough food for everybody. What do we do? Well, I'll sacrifice myself and I'll go without food. I'll be, no. So the most loving thing that you can do is love yourself equally as you love that other person who is also in need. You don't sacrifice your needs and go without just to fulfill somebody else's needs. I mean, a mortgage payment, if I give my mortgage payment to the church and I have no other income, no family that I can borrow money from, I'm then destitute, have no money for food, no mortgage payment, no light bill, nothing. I'm done. I'm done for the month because I feel like, oh, God's going to give me because the church told me that I'm going to get this back 100-fold. But no money's coming in, but yet the church has how many in their congregation? 500 people? If all those people gave at least, I don't know, $50 to $100 a month, what do you think? The church is, and then, this destitute person, me, goes to the public and says, I need money. I have no work. I have nothing. And local church goers are saying, well, go to your local church. So you go to your local church and then the local church turns you away and says, oh, go get a job, you bum. How is that giving? The whole aspect for a tithe is to give to the church so that when needy people come to the church with their hand out, the church, through us, can give these people who are in need a helping hand, a hand up. And yeah, okay, you need money? Here you go. So that apple, if I have an apple and I see you are hungry, whether you're hungry or not, it's my love I'm going to share with you because that's who I am. I'm love. I don't act in love. I am the state of being in love. And that's what the 2 commandments mean. That you act in love all the time to become the state of being of love. You don't think, you just act. So I'd split the apple, give half to you, half to me, and that way both of us do not go without. We both, just because there's one apple, doesn't mean that one of us has to suffer. That's the whole point of giving. That's the whole point in the teaching of the New Testament scriptures, is that none of us have to suffer. None. Whatever we are given, we freely give to others. We give so that all of us can share. It's not like, okay, so in scripture, there was a person who was asking for money or something like that. And was it Peter or one of the disciples said, money I have not, but I have Jesus to give to you. Is he depositing all that he has in him, all the spirit in him, all that spirit's fire? Is he taking that candle and depositing it into somebody else? So now this disciple is without the Holy Spirit and without the fire of God? So that because, I can't see that person suffer anymore, so I got to give him my all that I am. to this person, and now I'm suffering and I'm going to be destitute. That's not self-loving at all. That's not love. That's false humility. That's sin. So I hope that makes sense to you. So Joe says, I have given to the church as I was able to and saw the blessings in my life. Awesome. Amen. See, that's when you believe in God and not the church. And, you know, unfortunately, and I've done it too. I've given to the church, and I've falsely believed, as you know, God shared with me why I wasn't getting anything back. And it's like, that's not why we love God. We don't love God and we don't give in order to get something back. We give knowing, or, you know, just thinking that we don't expect anything back. That's the true sense of giving. And when you have that attitude, because you just give because you are love, then you automatically get something in return. That's automatic. So I hope that has helped you. Okay, so now just going back to this narcissism stuff, you know, it's the same concept with narcissism. We give our all to the narcissist. And, you know, coming out of narcissistic trauma, psychology, and, you know, just the people who are addressing our modes of healing, it kind of feels like that unconditionally loving somebody is a bad thing. It's not. It's our state of being. It's not everybody's state of being. I love who I am. I love the fact that I am able to love and give. I have somebody in my life right now where they're a narcissist to me, but I'm not playing their game. I see right through them. I've got my healthy boundaries up, and I am able to give in conversation and stay honest and hold on to my integrity while not calling them out, while not labeling them and not thinking of them as lesser. I treat them as, you know, in dignity, and I'm not blind to the fact that they are who they are, and I can actually look them in the eye and in my mind say to myself, I'm speaking to your demon, aren't I? But that doesn't mean I rage in front of them. I respect them for the teachings that they have personally given me by the narcissistic trauma and the abuse that I had to endure. So don't tell the narcissist what you're learning. Don't let the narcissist friends, your mutual friends and family, know that you're growing. I mean, certainly walk in your new growth, the new you. And if they say, you've changed. Yeah, I've just decided to do things a little bit different. Don't get into detail, because, your friends and family who are mutually friends and family to the narcissist might be their secret flying monkeys. And you don't want to give them information that they will parrot back to the narcissist. So it's like you get to go rogue. You're a silent rogue in your own home. And this helps you to build inner strength. Watch the narcissist carefully, but don't absorb their behavior. Keep your emotional distance and limit your interactions. When conversations happen, keep it light and superficial. Avoid deep conversational engagement. I remember saying this to a narcissist where they were trying to breadcrumb me and bait me into getting into a conversation about politics and the world, what's going on in the world upheaval during times of COVID. And when I didn't see it, I was like, I would come unglued. I would be easily triggered. But then I started understanding what they were trying to do. I understood the narcissistic behavior, and so they would try to push my buttons and, Shannon, what do you think about Trump? Shannon, what do you think about this? Shannon, what do you think about the jibby jabs? And I'd just be like, I don't have an opinion on that. He's like, what do you mean you don't have an opinion on that? You have an opinion about everything. Like, no, I don't have an opinion about that. I'm just silently watching and waiting for things to unravel or unroll. Well, I can't believe it. I know this and I that. Like, that's great. Thanks for sharing with me your opinion. That's cool. Well, that's just not my opinion. That's fact. Well, in your reality, that's fact. In my reality, I'm holding no opinion to anything right now. Well, you're no fun in conversation. Sorry you feel it that way. I just don't want to get involved in this conversation right now. And they would stop talking to me about politics. And, you know, it actually saves you from engaging in a conversation where you know it's superficial anyways. And I'm going to let you guys in on it if you didn't know this already. Okay, if you didn't know this, I thrive on deep conversations. I can talk about God all day long, and I love exploring science from the spiritual, supernatural aspect, the quantum field. I don't understand all the science, but what I do understand, and I apply it to us, our humanity, our spiritual beings, oh my gosh, I can geek out on this stuff. I've written about it. Go find it on my Ko-Fi channel. Woohoo! Geek out too. It's fun. But when you're with a narcissist, you can't be yourself. You can't unleash and reveal the deeper nuances of you that, you know, you yourself, you might enjoy learning because you want to be challenged, right? Well, the narcissists, they don't want to learn because that kind of validates that they don't know and that they're flawed and that they could grow and learn something new. So when you enter into a conversation with them and you want to get vulnerable with them, you end up getting hurt because you don't see that they are superficial, that they can't assimilate your metaphors. They can't assimilate the deep spiritual nuances that you bring to the conversation. And you end up getting hurt because you're assuming that their mind is just like yours, but it's not. And so it's not like you don't enjoy having a superficial conversation with them, but you kind of just like feel proud of yourself that you're okay with not having a deep conversation with the narcissist, because you know that if you do, it's at your expense. You're just going to get hurt. And like God says, don't throw your pearl before swine. So, I mean, you're exercising that and it feels good. You start feeling good about yourself that you're able to discern when to talk, when to share, and who to share that with, than just throwing all your golden nuggets out there and see where they land. And, you know, like the swine, they trample on that pearl in the mud. And the dog always returns to its vomit. So the dog may lap up what you have to say, but they regurgitate it into something that doesn't even look right. And they'll eat that up again. And it's disgusting. So you can see all these metaphors that Jesus uses against the enemy. You can see that in the narcissist, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to participate. I'm not throwing my pearl before a swine. I'm not throwing breadcrumbs to dogs. No, I'm going to keep all this knowledge close to my chest because I matter. I love myself, and I'm going to hold on to these healthy boundaries because they keep God sacred and God protected in me. So keep your emotional distance, limit your interactions, When conversations happen, keep it light, keep it superficial, avoid deep engagement, and you're going to go far. Be polite, but don't be committal. Don't be emotionally invested in that conversation. Because the less you engage, the more they'll sense something's different. And they may even ask, what's the matter? What's wrong? Nothing. I'm just really tired today. Really? Are you sure nothing's wrong? No, everything's fine. Are you sure you want to tell me about it? No, I'm just tired. Nothing's wrong. Even if there is something wrong, nothing's wrong. I'm just tired. Just didn't get much sleep last night. And don't even tell them that, because then tonight they may take that initiative to keep you awake at night just because you weren't engaging with them in conversation. So yeah, don't even tell them that you didn't sleep well last night. Just don't even tell them you're tired. Just say, nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. It's fine. It's just a day. It's a wonderful day. It's fine. It's good. So if you remain emotionally non-committal, they will lose interest in communicating with you. Whether they see you as being distant or dull, does it really matter? It doesn't really matter, because you're distancing yourself. It's called detachment. I talk about that in an ebook on my Ko-Fi channel, but I also talk about it in a video too. Detachment is essential when you're dealing with a narcissist. And this is the way that you can, what I've shared with you so far in this video is the perfect way to show them that you know who they are without them ever grabbing a clue that you know who they are. There is something that you will notice when you begin to pull away. When you start to detach, you'll notice how superficial and shallow the relationship has been. You're going to see how the narcissist doesn't really engage or thrive on deep conversations with you. They just idle banter to be polite. They engage in conversation with you, not to acknowledge you, but for you to acknowledge them, to say, hey, I'm in the room, pay attention to me because I'm superior than you and I deserve all the accolades, so give it to me. That's what they're doing. And you'll see that it's not just with you that they have this superficial relationship with, it's everyone around them. You'll see that they don't have emotional bonds with people. Oh, you can see that, maybe in front of other people, they'll be more clingy and more smiling and attentive to you. But that doesn't mean that they love you. They're just putting on appearances. They're trying to let everybody know that, oh, see, we're tight. We've got the perfect relationship. We're so happy. But behind closed doors, you guys argue. He or she is like really combative and rude to you, disrespectful even. But in front of people, oh, it's a totally different story. Because the narcissist has to be superior. They have to lead people to believe that their life is just tickety-boo because they're just that perfect, all that in the bag of chips. Seriously. So you'll notice how you are acting towards the narcissist. When you start detaching, you will then follow their lead. And they may not even notice. And if they do notice, they're not going to say much. Because they don't want to get into it with you. Because they know. Secretly, they know. You will become superficial and shallow with them, meaning that you'll keep your conversations light. You won't divulge a lot of information. You'll give them what they need to know and nothing more. And you're going to see that this is how they've always been with you. You just couldn't see it because you were reading something into the relationship that wasn't there, that you wanted to be there because that's who you are. Love. The narcissist reflected you back to you. So you who are the state of being of love, that was reflected back to you, and you were led to believe that that is who they are. So Joe says, when God instills on me to give to someone, I don't question what their motive is or how they will use it. That's in God's hands, and the person has to answer to him. Exactly right. Amen to that. Exactly. We don't know what a person's needs are. We don't know their motives. Exactly. That's between you and God. As soon as that money or that gift or whatever your charitable act, as soon as it leaves your person and is given to that person, it's no longer yours. That's what God taught me, to help me to, because I used to give money and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've got the power bill due in 2 days. I wish I had that $500 back. And God's like, no, that's not how it works. Once it leaves your hands, it's no longer yours. You can no longer think about it because it's as if you never had it in the first place because it belongs to somebody else now. So it's not your concern. It's not your business. So thank you for sharing that, Jill. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. That's how we give. We give. We don't expect anything in return. And once we give it, it's like we give it without judgment. That's what unconditional love is. There's no questions asked. Unconditional love does not say, okay, think of this. If God did not work in unconditional love and we asked to be forgiven, well, you asked me to forgive you 5 times ago, 5 days ago, 5 times in one day on Sunday, and I decided to forgive you, but oops, you did it again. So am I supposed to forgive you now? Like, are you going to smarten up, kiddo? Like, what's going on here? What's happening? You better smarten up because, my forgiveness doesn't last forever. That's not unconditional love. Jesus says, forgive 70 times 70. We are supposed to forgive immeasurable. So this trauma that we're hanging on to, we are supposed to let it go. And forgiveness doesn't mean, oh, I forgive you so you can hurt me again. No, forgiveness is, and I've done a video on forgiveness. It's way back. It's like maybe 5-6 years back. So I'll find it and put a link in here because that information in that video still stands. It's got my cute little bandit cat in there. And yeah, he's gone now. But yeah, so it's a good video. I love it. Because the research that I did on it just kind of gave me the aha moments where forgiveness is letting it go. Forgiveness is understanding that you were hurt by an individual, but you have blockades, those boundaries in place that say, I trust you only so far. And past this point of trust, you shall not pass until you prove to me that you are trustworthy. Or in the case of a narcissist, we forgive to let it go as if they never hurt us. But does that mean we go back to them? No, we retain the memory. See, that's the issue of, that's a big thing in life. What our mandate in life is to do is to get to the point where we have no emotional attachment to people and we just act out in love. Because if you have no emotional attachment to someone, see, love, unconditional love is not just an emotional attachment. It's a state of being of love, where you give yourself to somebody without expecting to get anything in return because you are fine in your unconditional love. Your unconditional love is what sustains you. You have a water well in your heart that never runs dry. And that is love from God. If you are always in tune with God, then how can your water well in your heart ever run dry? How can you ever go outside of yourself and look for love and look to find validation? That's what being with the narcissist allows us to see. Being hurt with the narcissist, we're not supposed to hurt forever. We're supposed to let that go and forgive as if they never hurt us, because that's where healing is. Healing is, okay, you get a scratch on your hand, it heals, right? And for the time that it's healing, you can see that scratch. You can see the scab, and maybe it'll turn into a scar, maybe it won't. But when it's healed, it's as if you've never gotten scratched. It's gone. The wound is, oh my gosh, it's gone. That's how we are to heal. And that is what forgiveness affords us. Forgiveness allows us to retain the memory, but let go of the emotional attachment. And that's the main thing in life. We are supposed to, life is always throwing us things, and we are to approach these situations and people without emotional attachment. And when you have no emotional attachment, you'll find that nobody can hurt you because you're not giving away your power. Nobody's siphoning emotional negativity from you because you're not expressing it, because you don't have it in you to give. Because unconditional love, there's no judgment. So if there's no judgment, there's no anticipation of wrongdoing, and there's no harboring of wrongdoing. There's no wrong. There's no ill will. It's just goodness. And nobody can hurt you if you're goodness, if you don't allow yourself to be hurt. I'm not going to go with Johnny and go for a walk with him because he likes to go for a walk on the dangerous terrain and climb cliffs and rock climb without any rope or any harness. So I'm not going to go with Johnny. I'm going to respect that that's what he does, but I'm not going to go because I'm inexperienced, and I'm not going to put my life in Johnny's hands. That's what it's like with a narcissist. You're not going to put your life, your emotional well-being in the hands of a narcissist anymore. But you let it go. Okay, you did me dirty. Okay, I get that. Did I deserve it? No. Am I overcoming it? Yeah. Okay. Am I going to hold a grudge? No, because what is holding a grudge? Holding a grudge prevents you from walking in unconditional love, to become that state of being an unconditional love. Because if you forgive one person, you have to forgive everybody. And if you're holding a grudge towards somebody, then you have to hold a grudge towards everybody. Because just like you, everybody has Jesus in them. So who are you to judge that person when they have Jesus in them? Jesus picked them to dwell inside of them. Whether they do wrong or good, you're just the same. You do wrong and good all the time too. And Jesus is still in you. So who are you to judge? We're allowed to expel the immoral brother. That's the narcissist. Stay away from them. Learn all you can about narcissism, to let go of the pain, not hold the grudge, understand that their ways actually helped you to come into your own righteousness, and you let it go and you move on. And you act as if they never existed. That's what forgiveness is. Acting as if they never existed. Acting as if that pain never existed. That's forgiveness, as that is healing. So this is what healing from trauma bonds looks like. It looks like disengagement, and that's what forgiveness is. You're learning to radically accept who the narcissist is by understanding all this information. You're understanding what impermanence is. You're understanding what detachment is. You're understanding what attachment deficits are. You're understanding what healthy boundaries and implementing them means in assertiveness. That's what healthy boundaries are. It's learning to be assertive and hang on to your own voice as you stand in your own voice and say no when you mean no. And you say no until somebody adheres and responds and respects your no. Every relationship with the narcissist has been built on lies, and you can't change them. No one can. And when your relationship with them ends, they'll treat their next partner just the same way as you did. As the cycle of abuse will continue, and that person will eventually come to the same painful realization, and you'll want to, as many of us, hi Pete, nice to see you. No more playing around after today. Need to find a job. May you find a job. Jesus intervened. Thank you very much. It's done. You are going to find a job. I believe it. I know it. I feel it. Ooh, I felt a shiver. You're going to find a job. It's there. It's waiting for you. Awesome. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. So when you realize that the narcissist has moved on and you're still healing, it's natural to think, okay, well, did they even love me? Are they treating their other person that they found so quickly? Are they treating them better? No. And then there's the thing where, should I go and tell that person who they're dealing with? That's not your responsibility. Even though you want to, even though it sounds fair, it seems like the right thing to do, just like you had learning lessons, and for you to go and spill the beans about the narcissist is just going to make you look like the cray-cray, like the crazy one. It's going to make you look like you still are carrying a torch, or you have a vindictive nature about you. It's not going to look good for you. Even though you're trying to be helpful, people aren't going to see that way. And besides, God allowed the narcissist to come into your life. Who's to say that God didn't do the same thing with this person? It's not you. It's not for you to stop God's will in their life from happening. So you got to just let it be. Because the truth of the matter is, they're treating their new supply just like how they treated you in the beginning. And that new supply is going to find out, because that new supply is not the only one and is not going to be the only person in their lives. That the narcissist has a multitude of different sources. The narcissist is a gigolo, a harlot. They can't help themselves. So the way that you were treated, they treat everybody the same. They objectify everybody. As we discussed in another video, I think last week, where we learned that the narcissist has you in their minds, controls your comings and goings and the things that you say in their mind. In their mind, this is their reality. What's out here is their fantasy. And so they objectify you, they dehumanize you, and it's not just you. So don't take it personal. It feels like it's personal. Oh, heck yeah, it feels like it's personal. But it's not. Jesus even says they will hate you because of me. You've got the light inside of you. The narcissist only gravitates to people who have light inside of them. Have you ever seen two narcissists get along? Doesn't happen very, very much. I mean, two narcissists in the same room, they're competing with each other, and they're arguing. It's not nice, and they don't learn. They can't give each other a supply. It's short-lived. So they don't stay friends for very long. So, but the thing is, you'll want to, it's it's the ego in you that is hurting, that is needing to be validated, that is needing that nurturing to say, did I even matter? No, you didn't matter to the narcissist, but you do matter. You matter to yourself, you matter to God, you matter to those who love you, who care about you, who are yet to come into your life, who will show you beautiful things about life, about themselves and about you, that you will learn to appreciate and grow and thrive from. Through other people who are yet to come into your life, you will discover a beauty in life that surpasses your understanding and this sorrow that you may feel right now. So it isn't in your best interest to tell the new supply the truth. You've got to let that go. You've got to just let that situation take care of itself and just pray for the other person. Pray for the new supply that they come to know the truth and that they're not hurt as deeply as you were. Understanding the dynamics of narcissism brings you clarity. Their behavior isn't personal, even though it feels like it. It hurts to the quick. They're doing the same thing they did to you with everyone else. They objectify their family members, their mom, their dad, their siblings, their children. We're going to talk about something that emotional incest in children. We're going to talk about that and the narcissist relationship with their children later on in this week. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Like this is diabolical, my friends. They object their coworkers. They objectify themselves. They objectify their own blood relation. They objectify anyone who is elderly and failing in health. Anybody they can get their freaking emotional grips on, they will. They'll use anybody. They'll exploit any weakness. They're parasites. They're emotional vampires. And I'm really not being angry when I say this. I'm saying this as truth. They're emotional vampires. They're parasitic. And once you see through the narcissist's carefully crafted mask, the urge to call them out just kind of fades. You just don't want to have any more business with them. You just leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. That's kind of the attitude you have. Because really, why bother? What's the point? Do you really want to torture yourself? I think that was a fruit fly, sorry. I had some apple here today and I was working and I forgot my apple and I brought in a fruit fly from the kitchen with my apple, so I apologize. You might see it flying around. Yeah, I forgot. I even brought an apple in. I put it on this desk here and I'm just like writing away and I go to make some lunch and I got an apple. I don't even remember doing that. So yeah, so I brought in the fruit flies, but enough of that. So I know that it's like going against the fiber of your being to not just call out the narcissist and say, you're a freaking maniac, you're a freaking narcissist. But do yourself a favor and don't do that. Because you're going to end up torturing yourself because the narcissist will lash out in a response. It's not worth it. Seriously, it's not worth it. And when you reach that conclusion, you'll find that you're no longer emotionally invested in them anyway. So what's the point? They can't change. So if they most likely know that they're a narcissist, so what's it going to give you it's not going to give you any satisfaction to call them out because they already know. They just don't know that you know that they know that they're a narcissist. And when you let them know that you know that they know that they're a narcissist, well, then all hell breaks loose and it's tumultuous for you until you get out, because there's no other course to take. The mended or the broken fences can't be mended in this relationship. It's over. It's done. When you tell the narcissist you're a narcissist, you're basically drawing it out and you're getting ready for a fight and you're going to duke it out with them, and it's over. And the narcissist has to have the final say. So they're going to pull out all the punches. They're going to stop at nothing. And like I've said, you never know what kind of narcissist you're dealing with. You know, psychology has like 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 different subsets of narcissism. And it's like you can't keep track of it. It's like your head's on a swivel. Well, what I've personally concluded is that there's just narcissism on a spectrum. Like it's like the colors of the rainbow. You go from one color to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, and you see the mixing of the colors, in between each color. Well, that's like a narcissist. You go from just a little lesser narcissist, and the next person that you meet is a little bit of a stronger narcissist, and the next person you meet is a little bit more, little lesser than the narcissist that you originally knew, and eventually you come to the greater narcissist, where they're just it's just an evolvement of behavior that gets worse and worse and worse, and steady as she goes. It just gets gradually worse as the narcissism or the narcissist comes into their narcissism. So with the narcissist who is what we call lesser, where they're still, a little insecure, and it shows, well, they're not going to be the psychopathic ones. But the person who has evolved from being a lesser and has evolved to keep their insecurities locked down to the point where they don't show it to you, well, there's the potential for psychopathy. So calling out a narcissist, you don't know what they're capable of. Every single narcissist, doesn't matter where they are on this spectrum, all of them are capable of harm because the behavior itself is harmful. It's soul destroying. It's mentally and emotionally decapitating. So don't call them out, because you don't know what you're going to be in for. You can't predict their behavior. So when you're in a narcissistic relationship, just waiting for the chance to finally leave, and you've done all this inner work, you're just kind of done. You just keep up appearances to prevent them from finding out that you know who they really are. And when you're done, you're done. And I'm going to tell you, that's the best place to be. Because when you finally leave, you're ready to just get on with your life. And freedom! Yeah, like you will. Like, it's so cool. This was about a few weeks ago, and I was coming out of the grocery store, and this woman was like freaking out. She is like with her daughter, and she's like, woohoo! Woohoo! And I'm like, what are we celebrating? And she goes, I'm free! And I'm just like, right on, sister. Because she got her divorce papers. So that's what it's like. I mean, when some people aren't so boisterous like that, but when you're out, you're out. And there is such a sigh of relief. I mean, there's a panic of uncertainty that comes because it's like, what do you do? Because you're not used to being on your own. But at the end of the day, you finally just get to relax, and that's freedom. I know I know it would feel so good to just call the narcissist a narcissist. It really would. It would feel like you've been vindicated. But, it's not just you. You have little ones possibly to think about. You've got your friends, your family, your co-workers who mutually know the narcissist and interact with them. And if the narcissist knows that you hang out with these people, they're going to make it difficult. The narcissist is going to make it difficult for them, difficult for you, triangulate. It's just going to be another one freaking mess you don't need. So the narcissist is vindictive and rageful, as we talked about in the last week's video about the narcissist suffering from blackouts in their rage as they suffer from aggression. This aggression is constant. It doesn't turn off. It's there and it's ready. When it's called, it's ready. It's like stands out of attention and goes, hello, ready for duty. I'm serious. And you don't want to risk that rage, because that rage is emotionally and mentally destabilizing. They're a wrecking ball in their anger. Serious. They are. And, it's not impossible to distance yourself from a narcissist when you live under the same roof. You can do it. I've done it. In my own marriage, I had to implement some strategies that I share with you in previous videos. At first, it was incredibly hard to accept that my husband was a narcissist. I saw the signs, but at the time I didn't know anything about narcissism or trauma abuse. But once I learned about narcissism, I was ready. I wasn't ready to fix my marriage because I knew my marriage was over. The damage was done. But I was ready to stop turning a blind eye. And I already had boundaries, but see, this is the thing. Psychology shoves this, you don't have healthy boundaries. You don't have healthy boundaries. You're codependent. They shove that down our throats when, do they really understand that with a narcissist, when you're isolated, when you're financially abused, where you yourself do not have an income, you have no family, no friends, you're dependent on the narcissist as you have a joint account, or they give you an allowance or whatever. Some men do that, some women do that. But the point is, you're financially dependent on this person. So how are you going to say, no, sir, you can't cheat on me again. That's not allowed. And here's the consequences. I'm going to leave you. I mean, that's the most consequence that I'm not going to make your dinner for a week. I mean, who does that? Like, that's not really threatening. A proper consequence for cheating on somebody is, you cheat on me, I'm leaving you. Well, how can you leave that and implement those healthy boundaries and assert yourself in the relationship when you have no income, when you have no support system, when you are isolated? So please don't shove these healthy boundaries down our throats. This has got to stop. Because many of us do have healthy boundaries. They've just been taken away because we trusted somebody, because they lied to us. That wasn't because we didn't have healthy boundaries in place. We were lied to, and we didn't know we were being lied to, because by and large, you can't tell when somebody's lying to you. Sorry, just off my soapbox now. I get a little bit heated. Because I personally didn't have the financial means to leave. I was stuck, vulnerable, as I was a homeschooling mom, and I just needed a way out, as most of us do. We just needed a break. I can't tell you how many times I asked God to allow my books to flourish, to allow my coaching programs to flourish, to allow me coach and teach and guide people while I was with the narcissist. God protected his investment in me by not allowing me to flourish back then, because the narcissist would have taken it all. He already took enough because I tried to do my best and help people, and the narcissist was very negative and caused me to turn away from my gift. So I knew I needed money to escape, and I prayed to God for that escape. But in the meantime, I waited and I educated myself about narcissism, and I'm glad I did. I never wanted to call him out because I personally knew what would happen, because he would get violent. Not often, but his rages were unpredictable and unbearable, especially when he was doing his marijuana and alcohol. And so, but I took advantage of being a homeschooling mom. I took advantage of the internet that we had, and I researched all I could in my spare time about narcissism and psychopathy and trauma abuse and the trauma bond and my own symptoms of abuse. And I was able to trace it back to my past. And, you know, being on the farm, like, we didn't have animals or anything. We just had like 146 acres. And that was enough yard work. Like, mowing the lawn took all week with a push lawnmower. So I had time to myself, and I had time to talk with God. And I think I purposefully, once I began to figure out who he was, I think I purposefully isolated myself from him, distancing my soul from having anything to do with him. When he finally brought up divorce, I was ready, and I said, okay. And this was something that he wasn't used to, because before we got married, we were breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, and it was all him. I don't know if I love you, but yeah, this week I love you. Don't know if I love you right now, but this week I love you. No, your hardline stance on politics really perturbs me. It's out of this world. So, you know, you're too boisterous for me. You're too showy for me. I had too much of a personality for him. That's basically what the narcissist was saying. But he got back together, and because I was trauma bonded and I had trauma from childhood, I went, okay. I was hurt. I was naive. I needed work. I fully admit that. And so we would get back together and break up, get back together, and then finally it came time where I said, you know what, either you marry me and, you know, legitimize the name of our child we have together, or you're out. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. So we got married. And so when it came time for us to talk divorce, I was ready. I was just like, I was done. And I'm like, okay. And I saw his face. He was like taken back that I didn't beg. I didn't cry. I didn't whine. I didn't say, oh, can we go to counseling? Can we make this work? And I think he expected me to beg and cry, because he thought that he was all that and a bag of chips. Well, I was done. And when he asked, like after that, he asked, well, can we still be friends? And I calmly responded and said, well, we aren't friends now. Obviously, we're divorcing. So how can we still be friends? How is that going to work? I mean, you don't even like my company, so how's that going to happen? He got so upset, he called me a biatch and walked away, and I just ignored it and smiled and walked in the opposite direction, going, yes, I took back my power. And, you know, that was my moment where I called him out on his narcissism without ever saying, hey, guy, you're a narcissist. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist but are not in a position to leave, I truly feel for you. I really do. And you're welcome to contact me and talk about it anytime. Hi, Royal Minds. Nice to see you. Oh, glad I caught you live. Well, it's nice to see you here. Welcome. So we're just wrapping this up. We were talking about, do you confront a narcissist on their narcissism or not? And the long and short of it is, no, do not confront a narcissist. In fact, what you can do to show that you know that they are a narcissist without letting them know that you know that they know that they are a narcissist, you can learn to just detach. Engage the better part of you. Do not share yourself, your soul, that's the deepest part of you, with the narcissist anymore. Keep it superficial. Keep who you are. Keep your soul sacred because it's you. Keep it sacred to you. Honor yourself by just loving yourself. And that's the best way to love yourself, is not to give your emotional power to the narcissist. Don't let them into your heart. Don't let them into your mind. Go gray rock with them. You know what gray rockin' is, right? Rockin'? Yeah. I want to sing. Why do I want to sing Rockadoodle? I don't know. It's a kid's song. I love that song. Rockadoodle. Go listen to it. Rockadoo. Never mind. Don't get me started. But I guess you just come into a sense of happy when you finally feel liberated from the narcissist. And you detach your emotions and you begin loving yourself unconditionally the way you love them. Keep your conversations superficial but relevant. And Royal says, my detachment makes me look like I am the narcissist. Yeah, but you know what? Who really cares? It's not your business to know what other people think about you. And it's certainly not your business to know or care what the narcissist thinks about you, because they're just objectifying you. Ambivalence is your greatest weapon, as it's your greatest friend. Royal says they are super covert. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, the narcissist is a piece of work. And they create an emotional infection in your mind and in your heart. And if you can do to them what they do to you, but not in a malicious way, because God says, you know, don't repay evil for evil. But if you just follow their lead, this helps you to detach from them. And let them think that you're a narcissist. Let them believe what they want. You're learning to let them go. So what does it matter that what they think? They've already probably got another supply, a multitude of supplies anyways. So what is your little what is your attitude or your mind? Like, I'm not trying to belittle you at all, but you know, in the scale, in the scope of looking at 8 billion people on this planet and the many people that the narcissist has in their entourage, what is it that your little mind is so precious to the narcissist? Really? Like, what does it matter? Who cares? They're nothing more than a popcorn fart. Seriously. That's it. That's all they're worth. Sorry, don't mean to be demeaning, but sometimes you gotta be, because you gotta put them in their rightful place and you in your rightful place, and you are higher than them because you carry the light of love within you. They don't. They're empty shells. Now, the narcissist, they're gonna want to talk about themselves. That's what they do most often. And when you start detaching yourself and keeping conversations superficial, you will see exactly how superficial they really are. Don't expect anything more from them, and just respond matter of fact, non-emotional responses. Go gray rock. Gray rock. Practice that in the mirror if you have to. Don't even raise your eyebrows to them. Just be stoic. Be stoic. You know, and like I mentioned earlier, the narcissist would be like, you know, what do you think about that? And I'd be like, I don't have an opinion. And you just engage with them for as long as you have to, but don't commit your emotions. So you just sit there and listen. I was in front of a narcissist last week, and we were outside talking, and it was dark, and somebody's motion light kept coming on, and I had to keep checking myself, because when it was dark I felt comfortable because I was like gray rock, but then in the light they were so animated and so like happy, acting happy to talk to me and this and that, and I was just like, am I going too gray rock? Like I felt self-conscious. I was just like, am I going too gray rock? Because I was talking just like that. Hi, how are you? Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, right on. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'm really happy for you. That's great. Great. That's cool. Great. So what are you going to do now? Yeah, that's really good business to start. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. That's how I was acting, and I was feeling self-conscious because that's not how I normally act. And I was just like, oh, am I being a biatch here? Like, that's rude behavior. And like, I was taught, like, and Royal says that my narc wants to talk. Yeah, so let them talk and just go into it without emotional investment. And growing up, I was raised that when someone is in the room or someone is in your presence, you give acknowledge to that person and you smile. You be polite, mind your manners. And with the narcissist, this goes against my grain. I have to force myself to be rude. I have to force myself not to help them. I have to force myself to not engage with them and be polite and kind and be me. And that's a little difficult to do. Oh, they don't want to talk. Okay, well, if they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk. You're not here to force them, right? I mean, if they say, well, you never want to talk to me, well, you just don't seem like you want to talk, and I want to respect your boundaries, so I'm giving you space. I mean, that's what I said to this person, you know, because they were, this person that I was gray rocking because they were upset that I wasn't talking to them. Well, I'm not going to go bang on your door. You're already showed me many times that you don't want to be my neighbor, so I'm not going to go knock on your door, say, hi, neighbor, here's a cake, can we be friends? And so what happened was I just said, well, you know, I'm giving you your space. That's why I haven't been around. You want your space, right? You like your space. You've kind of given me the impression that that's what you want. So I've just been giving you your space. You want your space? And I don't see you anyways. When you're outside, yeah, I'll wave and say hi, but I mean, I'm so busy, you're busy, and you know, just giving you your space. That's what you want. It's all good. No harm done. I'm not offended. Really, I'm not offended. I'm not offended by you wanting your space. It's okay. And they took that as like thumbs up. They're like, yeah, I'm so thankful that you give me my space. I really like that you give me my space. It's like, wow. When you play the game, you follow their lead, they're so daft that they don't see it because they're so into themselves. And yeah, I do too. I crave clarity. You know, understanding narcissism, understanding how they tick, what makes them work. That's what this video channel is all about. You're gonna geek out, Royal. Geek out on these videos and let me know what you think and share your thoughts and your suggestions on, you know, what kind of stuff you want to see. I try not to, you know, I don't want to recirculate and rehash information that other people have already said, but what we do is we take the psychology of it and we make it personal, and we bring spirituality into this, because the Bible doesn't talk about calling out a narcissist by the name, using the term narcissism, but it's there. It's there. So, I have to say that you are your own superhero, everyone. You really are. And thank you, Royal, for showing up today, and thank you for joining us today. Just do what you got to do for you. Learn all you can about narcissism. Learn about what the ins and outs of narcissism, just so that you can see it. Because when you can see it, like, there's a difference between, okay, I'm being abused here. But when you can see what type of abuse there is and what's going on, that's validating in itself. That validates your pain. That validates you. And you have every right to feel what you feel. You have every right to feel angry. You have every right to feel hate and pain, emotional pain, sorrow, sadness. They don't have the right to do this to you. So, getting yourself some street smarts when it comes to narcissism and learning what they already know by them acting out on their behavior, and you're just learning about that behavior, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with going gray rock. There's nothing wrong with keeping your conversations superficial and shallow. You're just following their lead. You're just doing what they be doing. How is that wrong? Like I said earlier, there is a saying that if you're playing poker with a cheater, don't expect to win by playing the game truthfully. If you want to win, you got to cheat the cheater. And that's what people did in scripture. I mean, Tamar did it. She tricked the king of Judah. And Jacob did it with his father-in-law and the sheep. There are stories in scripture that show that if you want what you want, and you're allowed to go get what is duly yours. And all we're doing is we are taking our spiritual onus back. We are taking us back. We are taking back our inheritance. We are taking back our spirituality. We are taking back our spiritual identity back from the narcissist who tries to beat us down into the mud to the point where we're nothing left. We're rising up out of the ashes. And so understanding the narcissist allows you to understand yourself. Stop being so vulnerable with the narcissist. There's that freaking fruit fly. Oof. It's a wonderful thing that we can come together with people who have our backs, who truthfully want to see us flourish. There are people out there who champion for our successes. There really are. You guys are it. This group is it. And you're not the only group. There's many people, thousands of people out there. We just got to find our tribe. And this is a little piece of the big tribe that we're all a part of. And it's so good to see you guys here. I'm so honored. I really am. You guys just make me just feel so special, because you guys are special. And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be on this healing transition. So I just want to say thank you, because it's your vulnerability, your stories that you share that help us grow and help us see us for who we truly are. The narcissist doesn't see us as who we are, but they see us enough to mirror a projection of us back to us. And never expect the narcissist to be authentic. Even if you did call them out, they would never be authentic about it. So my recommendation is journal your thoughts and feelings. Get in touch with your own soul. connect with God in spirit, meditate. There's meditation videos on this channel too to help you out. You have my email if you ever want to talk. You have my Ko-Fi channel as a go-to place where I'm an author, a peer support mentor. I've got training in peer support, crisis outreach on the telephone lines. So I'm here to communicate and share with you what I know. So all you have to do is send an email or sign up for a course, download an ebook on my Ko-Fi channel, and you've got a friend for life with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here as your advocate. I'm here to champion your success. Really, I am. We're God's children. We're here for each other because understanding all of this and getting rid of all this flotsam and jetsam of the narcissist is actually preparing us to go home, because we're looking inside of ourselves to see the God, the divinity in us. And when we learn that we have always been one with Jesus in our hearts, and we have always been unconditional love. You don't act it, you're just the state of being it, and you just act in accordance to that state of being. And psychology says, oh, well, that's codependence and that's not a good thing. Well, no, it is a good thing. I love the codependent nature in me, because all relationships are codependent. The only thing is we haven't learned to establish the trust in us. And trusting ourselves is what initiates healthy boundaries in our morality. So there's nothing wrong with you. You just need a little bit of a dust up. That's it. You're perfect the way you are. You're growing, you're learning, and you're awesome. Yes, exactly, Royal. We are all codependent on some level, and that's not a bad thing. It really isn't. We just have not learned to understand who we are, and we haven't learned to understand our limitations in our morality. Yes, I will do that. That's okay for me to do. But no, I won't stand for that. I won't stand for cheating. I won't put myself in a position anymore in any other relationship where I am left vulnerable to the point that I cannot get out of that relationship, and I'm stuck in that relationship because I am dependent on finances from that other person. I've learned not to put myself in that position anymore. Those are healthy boundaries. And like I mentioned earlier in this video about the caged bird, a bird born in captivity who is caged has a handler who comes in and feeds and cleans the cage. That bird doesn't know that there's freedom on the other side. That bird is not going to question or try to get out. But if that handler caught a wild bird and put it in that cage, that wild bird is going to fight to its death to get out of that cage. And that's what we have to learn. We've been conditioned not to fight for our spiritual lives. We've been conditioned to just go along with things. So if you guys are coming in late to the party, I encourage you to go watch this video from the very beginning. There's going to be lots of nuggets that you can use and take on your own healing journey. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. And please join me back here tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern as we talk more about narcissism. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day. I love you. Go check out my Ko-Fi channel. And if you want to donate to this channel, because this is all I do during the day, please find a donation link through Ko-Fi or through PayPal, whatever is your preference. And, just if you can't do that, support this channel by liking this video, subscribing to this channel, and coming and meeting with us and letting our family grow. We want to see you. So until tomorrow, see you tomorrow. I love you. Bye-bye.